Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about a very serious topic, clearly, suicide and suicide assessment. I'm not going to mention the name, but strength-based suicide assessment. There's a new book out. I really love these professors and clinicians. They're good. So I'm going to put their name and a link down in the description box. Get a little freaky about saying names on the video. Maybe they don't want me to. But I have been through workshops with these folks, and I think they do such a compassionate and intelligent job of suicide assessment. Of course, this is a can be very scary kind of situation when you're a counselor to make sure that you're, assessing properly, but doing it in a counseling manner, a strengths-based manner. And, our culture is set up, particularly here in the United States, to where there's a lot of taboo about suicide, considered immoral in a lot of circles and considered a sin, which then keeps people from talking about the thoughts that they have. It makes medical professionals and even behavioral health professionals really anxious about the topic. Like, oh, if it comes up and I don't do everything possible, or if I don't do everything right, I'll get sued. So there's a lot. This is an issue where we really do need to, we need to look at everything in culture and in our society. Is just how we are acculturated to viewing suicide very narrowly. And, at the same time, we have to come to our own kind of conclusions. But what I'm hoping is that folks can really explore what's going on in their world with a trusted professional in a confidential setting, and perhaps make changes and determine that suicide is not the best option for them. But I'm not going to judge what these folks want to do. That said, I'm a professional with a license and I want to keep practicing. So I want to make sure that I'm getting good supervision. That's always going to be a part of when you're counseling, is making sure you're getting supervision around this and appropriate consultation with client consent and so forth. So we want to be really careful with this topic, but there's ways to do it to where we don't scare ourselves and the clients, okay? These are things I've picked up throughout the years and workshops and working with clients. I don't know who to give all the credit to here, but I am going to give a huge chunk down in the description box. But one of the first things is helping reduce lethality. I live here in the South of the United States. A lot of people have guns. That is a very lethal manner of suicide. And so one thing that can be is helpful to say to somebody is like, listen, I really want to talk to you and find out more about your story and the pain that you're experiencing. But let's do look at ways that we can keep you safe. And one of the things is, hey, I don't want you to do something in the moment, when you're really distressed, that you would regret the next day, that you would regret doing an hour from now. So help them kind of see like, hey, let's put some blocks between you and a really lethal means of suicide. And so here in the South, we want to be really sensitive to folks. So here's a statement that, we're not talking about taking your guns, because we know that guns are part of your history and you've used them responsibly. But what we are looking at is, hey, is there a way we can make them less accessible so that you don't have that just spur of the moment reaction, which could be storing it in the attic, giving it to, another neighbor or something who's trustworthy. Taking the bullets out and put them in a safer place, something that's going to give a little bit of time between the extreme distress and then having a quick means, of a lethal suicide. Also, a strength-based approach is talking to people like, it sounds like at times you're thinking about suicide. Because this is very solution-focused kind of perspective, is that you're probably not 24/7 thinking about it, or it's not as intense. So then what we want to do is, hey, let's talk about what's going on with you when it's not as intense. What's happening at those times of your day when the thought of suicide is not as intense. Asking who they're angry with. Who do they want to commit suicide at? Relationship problems can be a big precursor to this. So making people aware that that yeah, we want it. That's okay to talk about. Who we're angry with, who is relationship problems, and who's dumped us, who's broken up with us, who are we having trouble with, and so forth. It's also asking, people don't have to bring up or mention the term suicide. If people's talking about being depressed and they seem really hopeless, actually saying and normalizing. That's a big piece of strength-based assessment, is normalizing that we all have thoughts at times, many of us, of maybe I'd just be better off dead. So maybe we don't have a predetermined plan or, really lethal means, but it's not uncommon for people to have those thoughts, and we want to normalize that without minimizing. Okay, so just being able to tell somebody, hey, you've talked a lot about your depression, and I'm just curious, a lot of people that experience depression also have thoughts of committing suicide. Are you thinking of killing yourself? Okay. There's no research suggesting that actually mentioning the word causes anybody to do this, and in fact, I would argue, based on clinical experience, by not asking, we're more at risk. Okay. Normalize, as I mentioned. Don't minimize. Okay. This is clearly something you have to take seriously. And for those of y'all who are practicing clinicians, you already know that you hear suicide a lot, and some people will talk about it session after session. We take that serious, man. That's a lot of pain. Okay. I've heard it called psychache. That's a lot of pain, particularly if that is the only, even if it is, okay, we hear this sometimes with personality disorders, a way of getting attention. Even if it is, man, what a dysfunctional way. How painful must that be for us that that's the only way that we can get the attention we need? Let's honor that pain, but help people see kind of the strengths of this, that it's probably not all the time. And what are the strengths? So another thing in identifying is if somebody's willing to talk about this, saying, hey, you know what, that requires a lot of courage to say that. Honor their bravery of being able to talk to you. Another thing I want to add, and I don't have this on the list, is it is helpful, and there's research suggesting that if you're a counselor or mental health agency or private practice, that if clients fill out a quick assessment about depression, suicide, anxiety prior to seeing you, so maybe they come into the office, they're given a tablet or an app that they can just fill out quickly, and then you see it when they walk in, they're going to be more honest with that. It could be paper and pencil too. They're going to be more honest with that paper and pencil or the tablet, even when they know they're getting ready to see you. Okay, so I do think good measure for your practice and well-being is to have like just really brief 10-question screening for every client when they walk in, just to check, because sometimes a client will develop such a relationship with you, they might still be feeling really bad, and they don't want to hurt your feelings by telling you the truth. Okay, so it's really important to have assessments in process here. Validate their pain. We've been talking about that. And I love these metaphors, is that, hey, listen, you drive, but let me be the navigator for a while. Let them know they've got a partner in this, okay? They've got somebody that wants to partner with them and help them explore the meaning in their life and where to go from here. And, I love the chapter analogy. Like, man, it sounds like this chapter right now, your life is terrible and been very hurtful and traumatizing. Hey, what if you and I were to start writing the next chapter here and now? What would it look like? Let's start envisioning what the next chapter will look like. Okay, that would be better than this one. And then also telling people, hey, is it okay if we push back the date a while? Okay, let's explore some things about yourself first. I want to get to know you better. I want to talk more, find out about your story, who you are. I took a lot of courage to come in here. I appreciate that courage. So just making people aware that we can give us some time. Let's give us some time to really explore, okay? Now, again, you're always doing this under supervision. You're getting consultation, making the clients aware with written consent, doing all that good stuff. But just knowing that we can approach suicide from more of a strength-based approach and not feel so incredibly anxious, and that which may also shut down the client. Okay, So let me know if this is helpful. Again, I'll give you one of my sources in the description box. Really great if you ever get to see them present. And I hope this is helpful. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.